What if the biggest threat to your neighborhood isn't crime, politicians, or rising prices or developers? What if it's the people who live there? Tonight, we're asking a question that might make some listeners uncomfortable. Are communities falling apart because of outside forces or because too many people have stopped caring about the places they call home? Stay tuned.
Are you ready for some controversy? Yeah. Are you ready for some fun? Yeah. Yeah. Are you ready for some laughs? Yeah. Let's get unfiltered with Cycle 4081.
Welcome back to part 3 of what really ruins a neighborhood, and we're talking about the hood. And in part 2, we discussed allowing crime to flourish, failure to respect shared spaces, and not participating in community events. Those are just some of the top 10 that we're going to talk about. But in part 3 of this, we're going to close this out with some things not often thought about. So it's going to be a little bit different. So we have a few call-inners, if that's a word. Thank you guys for chiming in. Who we have here? We got P Jizzle, K Mizzle.
I'm here.
We got Kenneth and we got Pastor Dirty. You forgot that name, didn't you?
Never forget.
All right, so we talked about the first 7, and I said it was 10. So we're going to go with 8, 9, and 10 of what really ruins a neighborhood. Number 8, uncontrolled pets can create health, safety, and quality of life issues for neighbors. So number 8 is going to be poor pet ownership. So with that said, the question to you is, should pet owners face stricter penalties for irresponsible behavior?
Absolutely.
And let me tell you this part here. So I was back in Baltimore. I was there for let's say 8 days, and I was dog sitting. So I had 2 dogs. I take the dogs out at least 3 times a day: morning, afternoon, and evening, right before bedtime. And obviously, I'm picking up after the pet. So, they're going because I do long walks too. So I'm picking up at least, let's say 2 or 3 times per walk, per dog, 3 times a day. And what really irks me is when every time I go out there, there's a new fresh pile of dog poop all over the place. That to me, now I'm not going to say anything violent or anything, but those are the certain things that I really hate that will ruin a neighborhood, because there's a lot of other things that go along with that. So, and I think that's a definite example of irresponsible pet behavior. So
yeah, because you out there doing your job, you're trying to be a good resident, good citizen, and when you walk your dog, you curbing your dog, but then you go out there, you see everybody else don't even give a damn.
Exactly. And that's what it actually says about a neighborhood. There's people in this particular community that don't give a damn. So for those listeners who are listening, here's my box about the not picking up after your pet. 1, it draws rats to your community. And anybody in code enforcement or any place else like that, they will tell you, or we call it pest control. They'll tell you it draws rats to the area because they eat it. Secondly, who wants to, how can you enjoy your open space when you got to worry about where you walk at night, or where you walk and you trek it in your house or trek it all over the place? That is the most disgusting thing that you can't. And there's kids out there. There's kids out there playing in the grass when they still got to worry about your kid coming back rolling around in dog poop. So I don't think people understand that, and they should. So if you're listening, that's one of the many reasons that you should pick up after your pets. Now, my question to you guys though, what do you think is the most common pet related neighbor complaint?
Mm.
We got Dimitri. We got two
Pet,
Dimitris in here.
the
Yeah.
pets are
Mark,
not on their leash.
Okay. Pets roaming around not on a leash. Okay, that's one. Okay.
Marky's sister is gonna be joining us too, bro.
Okay. So remembering the community complaints, that was one, and that's a little bit easier to handle because you basically identify who the pet owner is, and you go there and you cite the owner. Easy enough. Now, what are some other common pet related neighborhood complaints? Obviously, I said one, not picking up after your pets. And anybody heard have a neighbor that has a
Well, I would say barking.
yes,
I
yes.
would say barking. Back it's probably about 50, no, it wasn't even 15 years ago. Maybe 10 years ago, my neighbor decided to buy a little noise maker, and it bothered me so much. I went to a pet store to buy a whistle, one of those dog whistles. So whenever he would bark, I would blow it just to agitate the hell out of him. So like when he go, and I go, and he just gets quiet, and I know it's bothering his ears, but it was. That's just me. I'm an evil person, I guess. But yeah, that was my way. Opposed to saying, "Hey, your raggedy dog is outside barking," I just figured I'd figure out a way to agitate the dog as much as I'm being agitated.
Right, but I agree. But you get the dogs that actually bark 10, 11, 12. Those, I don't mind them barking during the daytime. Even early in the morning, like say 7. I don't care. That don't bother me too much. But late at night or all night, that's a problem. So any of you guys listening out there, and I'm going to send this to some of the community associations so they can share with some of their neighbor people. But yeah, control that. Keep your dog inside if you can. I don't know what your situation is, but do something about that barking, because that doesn't help, and it's a nuisance to everybody. So now, nobody mentioned. I know somebody said loose dogs, but what comes with that loose dog? Now
They get in your trash.
yes.
Rabies.
All right, so two
Well,
things.
well, one of the things that I'm thinking about, but I thought you already said it. If loose dogs take a dump anywhere,
Yes, they do.
So I'm thinking that, but but I think you already said that, so I'm probably on the wrong track.
So when it comes with loose dogs, people call because obviously they feel unsafe. I've seen the funniest things is on the Nextdoor app, and people post these videos, and they're going into their house. So everybody got a Ring camera these days, and they're going in the house, and these big dogs come running up, and this is in Randallstown. They're two of the biggest, most ferocious looking dogs, but they're so friendly. But they're coming to greet somebody going into the house. They want to be pet, and the couple, and there's an older couple that I kind of felt bad for them. Broke their neck to get in that house, right? So the dog's looking at them like, "What's going on? I'm here to play." But the thing that people worry about, that can be terrorizing for some people, and two, they bite. So having a dangerous animal, if they bite, that's a dangerous animal. Chasing kids, that's a dangerous animal. That's a problem. Now, as far as the community goes, how should communities deal with those dangerous animals? And be prepared, because there's some animal lovers here as well. That's my warning to Pastor Dirty.
And me too.
Oh,
Because I think if your animal you're irresponsible, if your animal keeps getting out, and your animal probably needs to be taken from you. And what happens from there is beyond my control. Rather, it's put down or rehomed.
I'm gonna have to agree 100%. So let me tell you what happened to the two dogs. And I think they were Cane Corsos, but like I said, we used to bring them into our office because they were that friendly. But I told the guy on one of the many occasions that they got out and we had them in our office and we enjoyed their company, I said the next time that they get out, they're going to be office pets. And I meant it. So and we had a lot of dog lovers there at the office. So they were about to lose their dogs. But yeah,
I got,
I agree.
I got story time.
Okay.
I got to tell a story. All right, Dimitri, Brian,
All right, here we go. Oh,
this, this about your dad. This is a dog story. Okay. So every morning growing up, we put the trash out. So every morning the trash would be tipped over, trash all over the place. I mean, this happened every day. And these dogs, these dogs in that neighborhood, whoever had these dogs, they weren't putting them on a leash. They were just letting them run free. So your dad came home. He said, you know how he say, I got something for that. You know. The next day, the next day, the trash was up, wasn't touched. But I didn't see them dogs anymore.
Please don't tell me he poisoned some dogs.
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness.
See, I think too where people mess up is that you assume people love your animals the way you love your animals.
Facts.
Just like people assume that other people love your children. We don't like your children and we don't like your pets. It's just that simple.
Why do I feel that y'all are made for each other?
Yeah, no.
wait, did he poison the dog because the dog was attacking people, or just going through the trash?
The dog was tearing up the trash every day. I mean, you put the trash out, they knock over the trash can, tearing down the trash. We had every morning before school, we get ready to go to school. We come out there, trash all over the place. We got to pick it up each and every day.
Now, have you?
So one day,
did y'all did y'all ever actually see the dogs?
we saw, yeah, a couple of times I saw the dog.
Okay.
Like we would come outside, and the dog has run away from the scene of the crime.
Were they intimidating type dogs?
No, they weren't. They weren't any like dogs I think you'd be scared of, but they were like German shepherds. But I mean,
yeah. People are scared of German shepherds. That's not
Yeah, so
that's not
I don't
a
know what.
cutesy dog.
I don't know what. German Shepherds are good dogs, though.
They are, but they also
Well,
bite.
they do bite.
Any
Yes.
anything with teeth bites.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a cute little pocket poodle or a big old dog.
Yeah. I can punt a little dog. You ain't punting no German shepherd. So yeah, but going back to what you said, that's true. Just because you may love animals don't mean your neighbors do or people in your neighborhood. And when you do let them out like that, you have that you run that risk of your dogs getting poisoned, or even depending on where you are, if you're in the country, your dogs might get shot. They might even get confused with a coyote or something. So yeah, I agree. If you have an animal or a neighbor whose animal's constantly getting out, I ain't talking about once every blue moon. I'm talking about constantly getting out enough to, that's a problem house. Then you need to contact the local authorities, and they need to be cited, and they need to have their animals confiscated. And what happens after that, that's on you. So I definitely agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah. But from your experience, and there's no right or wrong answer, do you think pet owners are becoming more or less responsible from the times when we were younger?
I think they're less responsible. Um, and I think that because more pet owners.
All right, we're back. Had a little technical difficulties, but go ahead. We were last talking about pets and their owners, and I know you guys had some funny stories about that. But go ahead. I know Dimitri was talking.
Oh no, I was gonna say what she was saying about people want you to pet their dog. I know somebody. You know how everybody wants you to pet the dog, but to me, everybody's dog ain't to be pet, because I know somebody that went up to a person's pet dog. I think it was a French poodle, and he went to go pet. They was like, pet him, just that. He went to go pet it. The dog bit his hand so hard, he caught nerve pain on his other arm,
Mm.
because the dog bit through a nerve on his hand that it reached the other
Damn.
arm, and he had to end up having to go to the hospital for that.
I got to
But
put the dog down. I got to put the dog down after that.
well, see, that's the thing. Some people say because they think they know their dog and the animal or whatever. You, you forgot animals sense stuff in certain people sometimes too. So you might think, oh, okay, yeah, my
Yeah.
dog is friendly, which he might be, but you got somebody with the wrong energy or whatever, and they coming up to pet him, and you saying pet him, they friendly, nice. That dog gonna bite the dog shit out of him. You know what I mean?
That's
So,
true. That's true. But
Yeah.
you said,
that's why I don't pet. I don't like to just go up and pet people's dogs, because you never know.
Well, I think
You
the
know?
you
majority
said,
of people are actually responsible pet owners. You could tell you have people who've had pets for a long time. You never had any issues with them. They walk them. They do everything. They care. They like family members. But all you need to have is one or two doing the stuff that you guys mentioned earlier. Running around, getting in people's trash. Terrorizing little kids. Taking a dump in other people's property or on public property and stuff like that. And then the next person comes through, they have to deal with that. I don't mind the dogs I'm a dog lover. I like animals. Period. Monkeys, cats, dogs, wolves, fox, you name it. But I don't mind them in the stores. I don't mind them. What do you call them? Pets that they keep.
Support animals.
Huh?
You talking about support animals?
Service animals.
Service
Service
animals.
animals.
Yes. I don't mind those. However, and they're usually never the problem, but it's those people that do reckless stuff, like all the things that you guys mentioned. That's when there's a problem.
hey,
Well,
you ever had somebody try to force a service dog on you?
No.
so now people are taking every pet is a service animal.
Right.
Not, every pet is emotional support. Every pet, and people are scared to come out and say, "Hey, your dog isn't trained." A service animal does not bark at people. It does not jump on people. That's not what it does. So you're nervous when you are out and about in the stores. The manager won't say anything because, hey, we don't want to lose this customer. We don't want to wind up on social media.
Right.
Right, right.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. The one thing I do have a problem with when it comes to emotional support animals or service animals. All right, so I never had this happen to me. When you're sitting on the plane, you got an animal sitting, with you, whatever. But what I do not like, do not bring your dog, cat, wolf, fox, eagle. I don't care what it is. Don't bring it into a restaurant. I don't want
Yeah.
to be sitting
Yeah.
in the restaurant, and I got to deal with somebody's dog, near my food. I don't like that.
Right.
No, you had your hand raised. I know.
That was an accident, sir.
Oh, okay. So for
I would never raise my hand.
I know you wouldn't. So anybody live in the townhouse community or an apartment? Anybody?
I live in an apartment.
An apartment. So my question is for you specifically. And I lived in an apartment as well, here and there. Should apartment complexes have stricter pet policies?
Absolutely. Those those folks that live in my apartment building, I live across the street from a church. I guess it's considered a historical church here in Baltimore. And they walk their dogs on the church grounds. Sometimes, like I live on the fourth floor, it's a long trek to get from the fourth floor down to outside. Sometimes you walking over dog feces and urine because the dog did not make it outside.
Yes.
And initially my building was pet free, and then everyone got all of these support animals. And you can print out the paperwork online, and your homegirl or your homeboy can sign it.
Is that the way around it? Just going online, getting
That's
the.
the way around it. Just going
Ew.
online and printing that out. That's all you got to do, and nobody's going to question it because now if I start to question it, I get into your HIPAA.
Ah.
Okay.
I'm about to get me a capuchin monkey then. But here now, this is where I'm gonna relate
Monkey.
my story. So
Yeah.
I lived when I moved out of my house temporarily. I was going through a divorce, and I moved into an apartment complex that I used to live in, back in the day, and I loved it. And I only moved out of it the first time was because I bought a house. Other than that, I loved where I was, loved the area, loved everything about it. But times changed. So just like you said, I lived on a fourth floor. I didn't have any pets. Well, at the time I did have cats, but one thing that I hated, and I used to see the little kids playing that had the garden view, apartment or whatever, in the same grass where I used to see pets owners walk their dogs and let them poop all in the grass. Some would even do it. Now I understand if you're on the fourth floor, you can't get down. You need to carry something with you. But I was me and Wirtz, the one who loves the graffiti art. We were sitting outside, and I watched the guy walk his dog and let him poop right on the sidewalk, and it was not the easy poop. It was just nasty. So I left him a little note, just make sure right in a little area. I didn't know who he was, but I left him a very incendiary message right where the mailboxes were located. Well, I see him come out there with some water and a big jug of water and clean it up. But people don't think about those things. And funny enough, when we talk about strict pet policies, the dogs that was in that building were dogs that were prohibited. Pit bulls. Now, the first time I lived over there, I had pit bull too, but it was the pit bull and the Rottweilers, and I love all those dogs. But when you're in an apartment, you have to have those policies because you live really close to each other. So I think if people don't complain, they don't care. And I think that was the situation with that. But that actually prompted me to move out sooner. I got tired of that. I got tired of having to duck around on the sidewalk, not even the grass, but the sidewalk, from people, letting their dogs go on the sidewalk. But I'm gonna do a recap real quick, because I know we got some first timers in here. So we looked at the 10 things that really ruin the neighborhood. And when we're talking about the hood where you and I live, first thing we mentioned littering and illegal dumping. We talked about neglecting property maintenance. And we went into excessive noise. We went into vandalism and graffiti. And we started part 3. No, that was part 2. We started with allowing crime to flourish. Then we went into failure to respect shared spaces. And I think that's the same thing with that apartment thing. You don't respect shared spaces. And then not participate. I can't talk today. Not participating in community efforts. So we started part 3 with poor pet ownership. So number 9, disrespectful parking and traffic behavior. And we're talking speeding, blocking sidewalks, blocking driveways, reckless driving, because it creates frustration and can put lives at risk. So, and I think we all can relate to that. I think we all seen that. So the dumb question of the day is, why do some drivers ignore neighborhood speed limits? Why? Any psychologists on here? We want to know.
I'm not a psychologist. I'm a social worker.
Okay, close enough. My opinion is, and like I said, not saying that I don't do it at sometimes, but I think a lot of times it's to show off. That's one. 2, you don't think of the consequences of your actions. And 3, because you haven't been penalized yet. The one thing that controlled my speeding when I speed, but the one thing that controlled my speeding was when I kept getting those speed ticket fines, those automatic cameras. I think in the area that I worked, and I lived in Woodlawn, Randallstown, Owings Mills, whatever. I'm sure I've gotten one from every speed camera in that area. And guess what happens? I slowed my ass down.
Yeah, but if you have Virginia tags and there's no reciprocity, these guys are still rolling through those things. They're not getting ticketed. So, I mean, if you're going to be realistic, people like you and me who are law-abiding citizens, then yeah, those things will allow you to slow down because, there's consequences for us. But if you have a car in grandma's name and you have temp tags on it, and you're just going to keep running it, and you're going to go as fast as you want, you want to hit the corners like you want. I mean, shoot, if you live in Baltimore, you know what I'm talking about. These dudes drive down one-way streets.
Yes, they do.
It's like they do not care. And then you look at them. I was telling a former coworker of mine. I'm like, if you ever noticed, I see more cars with no bumpers and side damage and everything now than I ever did my whole life. Like all of these cars got some type of damage on it, and they just won't stop driving the way that they want to drive. And I'm not sure what the answer is, but it does contribute to the downfall of the community because you can pull out of my driveway right now and there's not a car coming down the street. The moment I pull out of my driveway, I promise you, there's a car on my bumper because they're coming around the corner and they're driving down the street at 90 miles per hour.
Right.
And they right on my bumper, man. So, I mean, that is some of the things that's bringing down the community, but there's no real consequences.
Bingo. That's what I was
Because I
looking
mean,
for.
what are we doing to stop the Virginia tag thing? I mean, they're trying, but it doesn't really matter
Yeah, I
because
think
Virginia isn't cooperating. So
I
it
think
is what it is.
Maryland has a rule, and this is more or less it'll put it on the police officers, but Maryland's working a law through that's going to fix that. But again, the only thing you got to do is go over to Virginia and get you a post office box, right? And you can have your car registered to that post office box. So I think they'll work around that some sort of way, but that doesn't stop people from doing it anyway. Because before it was that whole Virginia thing, they still flew through the streets, and that was one of the major complaints in any community was the parking in the wrong direction, parking blocking the sidewalk, parking blocking somebody's driveway, or blocking or coming too close to the driveway. And if for those who don't know, you're supposed to give them at least 5 feet from each side of a driveway, and that was a major complaint in many areas. But even let's say that the speeding thing, do you think that now in Maryland in particular, I'm not sure about New Jersey, Pennsylvania, whatever, in Maryland you only can have a speeding we call it the speed camera in places that's so many feet from a school. So my question to you guys, your personal opinion, should speed cameras be used in residential areas, or is that too intrusive?
Um, I'm not sure what the feet is as far as from a school, but I can tell you right now, you can drive down. I can't think of a school anywhere near Liberty Heights in Hilton. I mean, there is a school, but it's like maybe a half a mile down the street, and there's two speed camera signs there. Then you have the one on Hilton is right by the golf course. It's not even by the school. So I'm not sure what that law is and how many miles away it has to be from a school, but they have speed cameras in Baltimore City where they want them,
Yeah, well,
and they can move them around as they feel fit.
yes, Baltimore City can put them wherever they want. Baltimore County, you can only
Okay.
be near a school. And as far as the state,
Okay.
the highways, it has to be used in the construction zones. So it is restrictive. But okay, so the answer for you guys, how how do you feel about those speed cameras being in your residential areas for those who have them?
Like them because I depending on what car I drive, I'm definitely going to get one. Um, yeah, I don't particularly care for them as much because I feel like in Baltimore City they target the poor areas and the black areas.
Mm.
I think we're the ones that get hit the most with these speed camera tickets. I in Roland Park, I maybe saw one on Roland Road. I mean Roland Avenue, maybe one. I mean it's not many in those well-to-do areas. They target us and they target the poor people who really can't afford to pay 10 $75 speed camera ticket. So my feeling on it is I think it's a bit prejudiced.
Well, I'm gonna agree with you on the placement. Now, here's the difference. Now, you can go to those places, Roland Park and some of the other places, more affluent places, and they tend to respect the law a little bit more than somebody in,
That's true.
So I see that happening. And one of the things too, they are quick to ask for those speed control devices like the speed bumps, speed humps, things like that. Even in the urban areas, people want to see that. But when you have less traffic out there, because remember, sometimes you have to qualify for it, and if you go to areas that really don't get the traffic, like say down in the city or some of the more urban areas, it's not going to qualify for it. So I think that has to do with the placement of it. But I think they work because, like I said, when I was going to the east side, and I'm not sure which street. It wasn't Northern Parkway, but I was going over there to the Overly area, and I know they had those speed cameras up there. And guess what? I made sure I drove the speed limit because I knew that my history, and I knew they had them in different areas. So I think it does help, and I wouldn't want them in my neighborhood, but I think they're okay for other people who want them in their neighborhood. Paul. Oh no, you in another country.
Yeah.
Never mind. You in a whole new country. All right, so let me
Try me.
all right, so
Try me. I might surprise you.
all right, so when you lived in the colony, I think
Yes.
I got a speeding ticket over there too, by the way. But when you lived in the colony, what was the feel about people having those speed cameras in the community?
Well, in the colony, they didn't. I'm gonna just tell you like it is. In the colony, they didn't have them because I was like probably the only black person in the community.
Oh,
So, so, so yeah. So they didn't feel the need to police to check that area, But but if you go across town, you had them in those neighborhoods. So
okay. Well, I know somewhere in that area, I got a speeding ticket.
Wait a minute, you talking about the colony in Towson?
No, the colony in Dallas.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah.
go
So
continue.
you probably got it on the main street though.
Yeah. Let me tell you
You,
something.
you, you
Let me tell you about Texas. All right, Dallas in particular. I know Winston is very familiar with that. But I remember when I got there and I was driving on the highways, whatever. I did not know the speed limit was that high. So my whole thought was like, damn, these people in Texas are just rude. They ride up on you and they beep, whatever. I was going the speed limit because I didn't want to because I had a rental car. I didn't want to get a ticket in a rental car. But I think their speed limit was what, like 70 or something like that. It was
yeah,
like,
yeah, 70.
so
Them
imagine
people,
me
they
driving
crazy
around
too.
and I'm driving 55. So
Well, yeah, they was cursing you out.
yes,
They probably all up on your on the back of you and everything.
that they were. Now leads into me how what have people become more aggressive behind the wheel since you guys notice?
I,
Yeah,
I think so.
that started after the Freddie Gray stuff when the police departments were getting scrutinized in reference to improper stops.
Oh
Police officers
yeah,
stopped really being aggressive in handling traffic violations.
you're right. You're absolutely right. That's when it first started. But I think it got
Yeah, and then it
compounded.
multiplied after COVID.
Exactly, because it was nobody pulling people over, and there was not that many cars on the road, to be honest.
It
So,
really wasn't. No.
but yeah, but since those two incidents, and this is just particularly to the Baltimore metro area, so I don't know how it was in Philadelphia, Jersey, Texas, or Wilmington, North Carolina, wherever you guys are from, Pennsylvania. But yeah, after those two incidents, it was like people had no fear of the police or no fear of getting pulled over or getting assessed any type of citation. And the bad part about it is I didn't see it stop. You know, I still don't see it, slowing down.
Yeah, it hasn't. No, sir.
Yeah. And like I said, I have a little bit of road rage, so I'm more vocal with it. But yeah, I think that right there is something that needs to be addressed because people are quick to pull out a gun. And we've seen it. We've seen it in the videos, YouTube, the news. We've seen it probably up front. So now, out of all those things, speeding, blocking driveways, reckless driving, all that type of stuff, which one of those things in your community, which one of those annoys you the most?
Reckless driving.
Reckless driving? Okay. I don't see.
Yeah,
Reckless
because
driving.
Yeah.
reckless driving also causes hit and runs.
Yes.
Like you come outside one day, your car tore up on the side. This happened to me. That's why I'm speaking on it. You come out one day, your car is tore up on the side. Somebody hit your shit and left, and you sitting there scratching your head. This happened to me, and I also witnessed somebody doing it, and I couldn't, like pull my phone out to take a picture while they were pulling off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I witnessed.
Somebody gave you that overnight paint job.
The overnight paint job.
It was more than an overnight paint job. It was $1,000 worth of at the auto what you call it when they got to paint over it, when they got to paint over your stuff, and they got to order parts. It's a headache they took me through because somebody didn't leave a note, didn't leave their insurance, and their number and all that stuff, and they just tore my thing off frames. But I witnessed somebody else doing it to another person coming out of the Walmart, and I couldn't. It was nothing I could do because by the time when I seen them hit them, they pulled off. They like a high speed race.
Why didn't you chase them?
So-
Why didn't you chase them down?
You supposed to make a citizen's arrest.
Huh?
Why didn't you
You
chase them
supposed
down?
to make a citizen's arrest.
You
Chase him
said why
down.
didn't I chase him down?
Yeah.
Because the last time I was coming out of Walmart, I had confrontation. I got kicked, and my sandwich was in the air. So I ain't the one trying to go through no more, dramatic confrontations. So, but yeah, man, I witnessed that, and I hate hit and runs because I was a victim of it.
I ain't gonna lie.
So like.
In Baltimore, the Baltimore area, when I'm including Baltimore City, Baltimore County, I had never seen that many hit and runs. It's like that was the thing to do. Like nobody has any fear. You get hit, and I'm talking about some good hits. They'll just keep on going. They don't have not one problem, continuing on like there's no consequences. And last I checked, that's a serious offense, but it's not arrestable unless somebody is injured, I believe. But yeah, man, you had a shopping center. While you're driving on the highway, they will hit you and keep on going. As long as that car that they have is drivable, they don't care. That's the key. They do not care. But that irritates me. I haven't been a victim of that. I've seen it obviously on the job, but the speeding through the residential areas probably irritates me the most. And when I'm sitting outside my house in my SUV and a car comes down there, and we have narrow streets, and a car comes down there so fast that it's actually rocking my vehicle, I have a problem with that because there's kids out there. People don't think about that. There's kids out there. There's pets. You never know what's going to happen or what kid's going to come through the parked cars or just walk off their curb. They don't care. That annoys me the most. So Yeah.
You gotta also watch out for ducklings.
Yeah, that's especially in our area, yeah, with the ducklings and
Oh, that's a fine. That's a fine. You hit a swan or a duck out here.
Listen,
good, and it
black
should be.
black lady,
You
black lady,
everybody fear those.
So
black lady got she facing 11 felonies because she hit some ducklings
really?
Damn.
in Florida. Yep,
Oh wow,
Yeah,
they trying to
they're crazy about swans and ducks. Yeah.
that's nuts.
Then
That's
you might
they
nuts.
have to
trying to
hit them and sweep them right back up.
they trying to send it they trying to send her to jail for 55 years over some ducklings.
Well, she wasn't smart
That's
enough. Like
crazy.
Pastor Dirty said, she should have swept them up and had some duck nuggets or something. Because yeah, that's crazy. But let me ask you something.
For
So
sure.
how for you thinking people, how can neighborhoods improve pedestrian safety with all the things we said? Blocking the sidewalks, blocking driveways, reckless driving, speeding, such and such. How can neighborhoods improve pedestrian safety?
Well, other than I guess repainting crosswalks,
Mm-hmm.
I think now you're going to think I'm insane for this. I know definitely Winston is, but I mean if you want to improve because the way this generation crosses the street kind of reckless. I mean, we always jaywalked as well, you know what I mean? But these kids walk out in the street and don't care for cars coming. You know, we at least look both ways. I think to increase pedestrian safety, I think that we will have to go back to enforcing jaywalking.
Okay.
Now, again, y'all gonna think it's crazy, but I think so because again, this goes back to what we discussed yesterday with the broken window effect. I've actually driving down the street just recently watched a girl walk right out in front of this car, and this lady had to slam on brakes. She walked right out in front of the car, and when she slammed on brakes, it wasn't as if the girl was shocked, like she didn't see it. She looked smack dead at the car and began to walk slower.
Like I dare you to hit
Um,
me.
yeah, pretty much is what she did.
Yeah.
What these people don't realize is you're not guaranteed to live. They thinking, okay, I'm gonna get a little bit of spare change. That's if you live. Your mama might get some spare change, but you're not. You know what I mean? So I mean, I think that's just one thing. Again, that's just a small thing to help increase pedestrian safety. That
Right.
crosswalks.
Right.
I'm not sure if anyone else experiences this, but you know when you cross the street, you can push the button and so forth.
When do they
They've
work?
never
Yeah.
seen the work.
When I say when do they ever work?
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
them
They
buttons
never
never
seen the
work.
work.
Keith mentioned
But
speed bumps.
But
nah,
you
I
know,
fucked up my car. Nope, nope.
but you know, no matter how many laws you pass or how many things, people are gonna do stuff. You got
Well,
to
they're
think
going to
about
do it, but you
they're
got to
gonna,
enforce it.
but it's not even just enforcing it. You got to go back to why all this stuff is starting to occur now that you're seeing all this, and then look at the beginning, the
It
disrespectfulness, the
rolled
everything.
downhill.
You got to look at that type stuff beforehand. How you say the kids walk out in front of the street because they got bumpers. We walked out in the street. We were scared we was gonna get hit. Now
Right.
the
We
kids had
ran.
now the kids had become desensitized to certain things. It's just like homicides. People who become desensitized to seeing a dead body. Same way far as speeding. People come desensitized of seeing people speed and everything. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Somebody say something.
Zoom user.
Hello. Oh,
All
I
right.
thought somebody said.
But no, but
But
just what you said.
you got to think.
So
What?
the other day we had, what was it called? AFRAM here in Baltimore.
Oh God, yeah.
So I'm walking and I hear this little girl. She couldn't have been no more than 16, 17. She said, you know what? I've never seen a dead body. I've never seen anybody get shot from in front of me. I really would like to see that. Like that was crazy and wild to me. I've never heard somebody like, I want to see somebody die.
But look how they become desensitized. These kids are growing up in these neighborhoods and they've been deprived of certain things, education. Their parents don't have jobs, can't afford jobs. Systemic racism within the communities. That's what's breaking the communities down. Think about Maryland. Maryland was one of the first states to start redlining the city, segregating people. And that means when you segregate people, that means that certain people only get certain services to keep their neighborhoods up.
You know what was? I'm glad you mentioned that, but you know what was very enlightening to me? I was able to be on the county executive's affordable housing committee, right? And we had this meeting with all these different stakeholders. And somebody, I don't remember the guy's name, but they came out there and they did this presentation and they put a map up. They had a map of the Baltimore City area. You know, it had county too, but it was focused on Baltimore. And they highlighted the areas of poverty, the poverty pockets. And then they did an overlay of the redlining. And it was going back to the early, I don't know if it was what 20s or whatever it was, but it went way back then. And guess what happened? Those same areas that they had the redlining is the same areas to today where we have the poverty pockets or that little trap area. And I thought that was very enlightening.
Let me ask you this: when they had the affordable housing, was that for people to rent houses, or was it for people to own houses,
I think it
to
was
buy and own,
I think it was
not
both.
rent them out?
Yeah, I think it was both. And the thing was with all the different stakeholders, obviously you had to have the ones who were looking at the infrastructure, the traffic, the schools, the big we call them the apartment complexes and the developers as well. And some of the things that was brought up was when people build new residential areas, what else do you put in there? Do you add in the recreational areas along with the houses? Because when you build those big residential areas, you can overwhelm what little resources you have. And again, that also adds into that whole, that poverty pocket. But you mentioned, you hit on something because on the episode, part 1 or 2, we mentioned, and I think Paul mentioned that it was the lack of respect. We mentioned resources. We looked at all those different things that you just said that added up to why we have problems in the neighborhood today. So you hit that, and you missed the part 1 and 2, but yeah, you basically hit on all that, even including the littering.
You look at the politics we have today, or what's going on in the atmosphere. People just don't have any feelings towards each other. It's just me against you, or I don't like this particular person, so I'm gonna blame this person for all my downfalls, for all my not having stuff, not having a job.
With that said,
Well,
that brings into. Oh, did you want to follow up on that?
well, I was going to say part of the poverty pocket falls into the school systems as well, because it goes back to what I was saying yesterday, where the kids, if you can't read by the 4th grade, you're not going to be able to get a job. You're going to go to jail. You can't get, the school systems are set up to keep poor people poor. And I remember my little girl went to a school in the Sandtown area, kind of right there with Freddie Gray, where all the Freddie Gray stuff happened. And excuse me, it was a Title I school, but 98% of those children lived well below the poverty line. And, you ask the school, like, hey, what resources do you have? Oh, well, you can teach your kid at home. And while my kid was in the gifted and talented program, imagine if my kid wasn't already ahead of the curve, where would she have fallen?
Explain Title I real quick for those who don't know.
So I'm not a teacher. Title I in Baltimore City, if you fall under a certain poverty line. So they are guaranteed certain grants and certain money. So within Baltimore City, every kid is guaranteed breakfast and lunch. And if they go to the aftercare programs, they are provided dinner. They are provided they have what's called community schools. So you have these people in the community, in the school, that's supposed to connect community resources. All of that is grant money. And part of what is it? What is the 2026, the Trump bill? I can't think of it. I'm sorry. The big beautiful bill.
Okay.
That was to nullify Title I schools in order to get away from that grant money. So again, keeping poor people poor, not allowing the resources, because if there are no resources, I can't push my child ahead to get out of this poor neighborhood. So we still have people on, trying to get food stamps and trying to get jobs, and it still increases crime.
Well, you're gonna have crime because it's systemic racism. That's what it goes down to.
Yes.
It's like
Absolutely.
it's like
Yes.
gentrifying housing areas, letting it run down. Just like when they tore down Eastern High School. What did that do? They tore it down because they wanted to build a parking lot for Memorial Stadium before they built Camden Yards. And what happened? It overloaded Northern, it overloaded Lake Clifton. Kids was going to school on shifts, not getting that education, overcrowding, and you're gonna have problems. You're gonna have problems when you overcrowd schools. It's just like jails.
Right.
They
Yep.
found out they overcrowded jails. It was easier to not have the jails so that way they could not have the jails overcrowded. So they started building little jails, but they
Mm.
constantly kept building bigger schools though.
Mm.
Yes.
Knowing that you're gonna have issues.
Schools are the new jails. They are ran like jails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just are. And as a parent, I have a little girl in Baltimore City schools. The school that she goes into right now is in a poverty stricken neighborhood, but it's a charter school. So they have a little bit more grant money, right? So we're looking to put her in a private school. To get a child a great education in Baltimore City, do you know how much it costs for a first grader to go to private school? $42,000 a year.
That's nuts.
Oh my. Oh
But
damn.
That's
but
nuts.
the sad part, you can keep dishing out money into it, but if you don't have the resources as far as the people to teach the kids, or
Right.
for the kids to go home and have a meal at home when they come to school to be prepared, their parents, it's got to go beyond just the kid. It's got to go giving the parents jobs. Because when the kid goes
Absolutely.
home and they see broken homes and everything, see
Hmm.
broken homes, that goes back to the schools. I used to volunteer at Cold Spring Elementary back in '89. Volunteered there, and I went back 29 years later and spoke there, and nothing changed. It was the
Well,
same
let
thing.
me ask you this then. Here's the question: Do you all believe that it has gone too far
What
for
you
it to
mean?
even be corrected?
No, never gone too far. You should never say. You should never give up,
No, I don't know.
huh?
I don't.
I
I
don't
don't.
know.
I don't
You
think it's.
already said
No,
these
that's not.
kids
No, no.
been
I'm saying
desensitized.
it should. We shouldn't say that. We shouldn't say that we can't. That word "I can't" should never be in our vocabulary. I can't do something should never be. You should put that in your kids' vocabulary. I don't want to
I
hear that
agree.
you can't. You try your best to get there. That's just like saying, this is like
Mhm.
a teacher. I heard a teacher say, well, you can get an easy A in the class. I'd rather for my kid to have a hard C than a easy A. Because that means
Right.
they not learning anything.
Right. I agree. I agree.
They're not learning.
So
But
what's the
see,
answer to it then? Because they
But
already
the
these
answer,
motherfuckers are gone.
yeah, but the answer is the
What? Kill
people.
them?
If you no, let me let
I
me
mean,
let me ask you
be
something.
be
If
honest.
if what the problem is, a lot of people look the other way. It's not affecting my kids, so I'm not getting involved, or it's not
wh-
affecting my wife, my neighbor. I'm not getting involved. But you just as guilty as the person who's administering the hurt to someone else. You're just as guilty as that person is doing it. If you don't do anything or say nothing. I mean,
So
you
you
know how
say
it is at
something.
work.
I
You know
know,
how
but
it
you
is at
say
work.
something. You say something now, right? The kids say,
Mhm.
"Suck my dick." Got my face, Winston.
I've had that done, and you know
All
what?
right. So you
The
do
same, the
you
same
keep trying
person,
with that kid?
but no, I handled it a different way. That same person, when they started, I had to give you the whole story. I think Bryant might know because he remembers the girl used to come to the library all the time. She cussed me out. This little young girl, she cussed me out. and everything. Well, about a month later, we had an incident where I'm up at Randallstown High School and I hear a call come out of two girls. They got two girls in a car and it's not their car. So I could hear her. I said, "Who is it?" On the radio to the officer, and I can hear her in the background. Don't tell him because he gonna tell you to lock me up because I cussed him out. I said, bring them to the school. Brought them to the school. I had their schedules and everything. I didn't even go through the principal. I handled it different. I said, if y'all not in class when I come back, I'm gonna come to your class anytime. I got your schedule all through the week. I'm gonna come to your classes. You know, them kids were in class every day. That girl, I found out a lot about her. She was being molested when she was a young kid, and that's, it's always a cause and effect of different things. She was acting out because she was rewarded to social services in Baltimore County. They relocated her from Ohio to here. She would run away and tell the officers, "I'm coming home if you call Officer McFarland." Her social worker wanted me to adopt her. I was like, "No, I can't do that." you know.
Wow.
But
So you didn't do your part.
Yo,
no,
he didn't do his part,
I
did he?
did do my
Sure
part. I wasn't
didn't.
adopted.
He was just going to say that.
I did my part. I was there for. I had a,
You had the space.
Yeah, you had the opportunity.
You had the space.
So my question, so what I'm getting from what you're saying is you need to heal the whole family.
Yeah,
in order
to help the kid. I mean, you only can do but so much because people gotta want it. They gotta want it. But I'm saying it's like if you got a parent in the house who works, she's working 3 and 4 jobs to just put food on the table for a kid because everybody say it's jobs out here, but people ain't making no money. You can't.
That's true.
It's bad. It's bad enough for us now. It's police.
Yeah.
With the little bit of money we make.
Yeah, you can get a job.
If you got somebody working 6. You got
it's not a living wage.
Yeah. You got somebody working 3 and 4 jobs. They're not in the house.
Yeah,
so that
those
means
kids
they
running
always
amok.
working. So the kids are by themselves. And not saying that parent is bad because they gotta survive.
And that's the reason why I was against charging the parents.
Yeah.
For their kids' behavior. And I didn't get into why, because we had to move on. But that was when you asked me yesterday, Brian, do I believe in charging the parents? And I said no.
Okay.
I don't agree with that.
But
that is not the answer.
But
because
I believe
these parents are trying to work.
But I believe sometimes it depends on the person.
It should be a three-shot deal.
Is different. Every situation.
I understand that. But if you're working, you may not know what Winston is doing. But once I get Winston the first 2 times, then I can charge you.
Right.
But I don't think that should be the first reaction to it all, is charging mama.
Well, the first reaction was what Paul said.
Beat the ass.
Exactly.
That's what Paul said.
Yes.
BTA. Belt the ass.
That's what I got from him. Beat him up. Got it.
You remember the kid? We had a kid at Woodlawn. You probably remember him. He was robbing people with a shotgun, the pizza delivery man and stuff like that.
I remember the case.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
You know what I'm talking about?
Wow.
Well, his mom, I remember his mom brought him to the prom. He had his girlfriend and 2 strippers. We was down at M&T Stadium. Whoa. The mom paid for the strippers. He came there. He had a top hat on. He had a baby blue tuxedo and a white cape. And he got mad. She got mad because we wouldn't let him in there with his cane because it's a weapon.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, this kid was scary. I'm gonna be honest. This kid was definitely scary, but his mom condoned it.
Right.
He wound up getting shot. He got killed. He messed with the wrong person, I guess. Mm-hmm. And they were scared that he was going to do something to them, so they did it to him first. They went to his door. As soon as he answered the door, they shot him in the doorway. Well, anyway, his mom, she had 6 female pallbearers. She had a white casket. And she talked about how he was an entrepreneur and he was selling DVDs and CDs.
Wow.
And his brother was totally opposite of him. But I believe they had different fathers.
Wait a minute.
Because they were totally different.
Are you talking about the one? I know exactly who you're talking about.
I don't want to say his name because we on the podcast.
Right. I know exactly who you're talking about.
But that type of stuff where Demetrius saying the parent shouldn't be that
Well, no, no,
situation, like
no.
because she actually she encouraged that. You know what I'm saying? It
Right. But
wasn't
if
like
you
it was no
know,
parental.
if you can prove that the parent has knowledge, then yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why
That's what
I
I'm
say
saying. That's
like
why I
the
said every
okay,
situation is different. That's why I said every situation is different.
And if
You
I could
know,
recall, the woman in question, the mom, she actually had a decent job, and she had a history of dealing with drug dealers.
she was just a hood.
That's
She was just hood.
that's
She
I
just
know exactly who you're talking about.
she was just hood.
Yeah.
But
And they lived in Edmondson Heights.
well, no, I
No.
think you're. I know who you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
No, he got killed up there near Liberty Road, near I can't think of the school up there, near the post office up that way.
Powhatan.
Powhatan, yeah,
Yeah.
he because I just talked to him. I went I got in trouble for going to his funeral.
And that was
But I had just talked to him.
the
His
nicer
mother
of
ain't
the
like
two.
yeah, his mother didn't like me. His
Right.
mother, because his cousin worked at a part-time job where I worked at, and but she told him to call me. I was the first person she told him to call because he
Mm,
called me up. I just got back from Arizona. I remember the year. I remember it like it was yesterday
yeah.
because that's how much it affected me. Because I had just talked to him and he was doing good. He was going getting his HVAC license,
Hmm. But
getting his HVAC.
he was also caught in another apartment complex's laundry room, gambling,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
that's what they were doing. They was gang, and I knew
yeah,
both. I knew the kid that killed him too.
yeah.
His
Oh,
father. I knew his father.
yeah. They were my
Yeah,
neighbors.
yeah. I knew the father. I knew the father.
man.
But
What neighborhood you live in, man?
No,
God
actually, it was
damn.
a pretty decent, quiet neighborhood. But it was that. Remember we talking about that one house. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but did y'all talk about? I'm just curious because I apologize for not being on the other 2 days. But did y'all talk about how back in the early late '80s they start trying to get black people to move to Randallstown area? They
Oh
was
yeah.
pushing the real, and that's what they was redlining in. And
Yeah.
that was part of when they tore down Murphy Homes and tore down that. But they was trying to get people to buy a house because I remember I was buying my house and they kept trying to force me, not force me, but try to guide me because I could get a bigger house for the money I paid here in Towson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I used to call it the Trail of Tears. I used to call
Oh,
Liberty
the
Road
trip.
the Trail of Tears. I was like, why would I want to move? I didn't, well, I didn't really like the West Side during that time because I grew up in the West Side. I like the East Side. People were different. People were more friendlier to me. To me, that's just me. But,
I said you a rascal, man. I love the West Side.
uh,
Are y'all
Fuck a riot.
I
Baltimore
worked over the
people
You're
West
the
west,
Side, and you know
east
troublemaker.
what? It's some
west?
good. And I'm not saying it's bad people on the West Side. I like the people on the West Side. It's just that I was just an East Side person. It was different. It was different. We did different things over East than we did over West.
Yeah.
You know, far as activities. Um, we even had more when I was growing up. We had more recreation centers on the East Side than we did on the West Side.
Now,
We didn't have those things, and we went out and did stuff. We went fishing in Patterson Park.
okay.
You know, we catching goldfish, but we thought we was doing. But that's the type of stuff. We had swimming pools. We had kids had different things. You know, where the East Side, I mean West Side, where people they thought they had a little bit more, but
But
because the houses were
but
different. The houses.
are you comparing East Baltimore City to West Baltimore County?
No, I'm talking about West. I lived in Emersonville. I grew up in Emersonville as my first
Okay.
13
Okay.
years. So, and but that was still close to the county,
Right.
Cooks Lane. I remember how the services, how they did stuff over near Cooks Lane, how things were done. And then I watched how when they started building that highway to nowhere
Didn't know
on
it.
70, which supposed to all they tore down over 1,000 houses going straight down what's that?
Franklin. Yeah.
Franklin to
Yeah,
Marbury.
Franklin Marlboro.
Yeah.
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 They, but that's part of systemic racism. It's been shown that that's what they did to
Yeah.
black neighborhoods when black neighborhoods are thriving. And then you look
They've
and
been
see how many supermarkets How in the black communities you see how the supermarkets disappear?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they do, man. They
You
do.
know,
They
they
food
don't
deserts. Correct.
they don't put those things there, and that destroys the neighborhood too. They got more dialysis clinics in those areas than they do supermarkets. Where I grew up, even over the east side, northeast, where I grew up, we had about 6 supermarkets within a mile radius. We had two major supermarkets in the Alameda Shopping Center.
You're not gonna see that now
Nope,
anywhere.
nope, they
Yeah.
don't.
No, it ain't
Well,
there no more.
well, what you can tell though is when they get ready to rebuild a neighborhood, when the white people get ready to move back in, you can tell they'll put a new school there and they'll put a supermarket beforehand.
A trendy one too.
Prime example, Memorial Stadium. The services went down when Memorial Stadium closed down because that was a black area. You remember how they used to take care of the grass on the common areas. They used to pick up the trash. The street sweeper used to come through. All that stopped. But now they get ready to start picking it up. They built a big school right there across from where Memorial Stadium is. It's supposed to go from kindergarten all the way up to the 8th grade. And there's no kids. Well, I know about 3 years ago, it was no kids in there yet. But
What is that, Waverly?
they're starting to buy up they're starting to buy those houses up now, just like they did near 29th and Remington. All that over there,
Well,
they buying that up and down there.
we're
But they
gonna make
pushing the
that
white.
we're gonna make
I'm
that
sorry.
a whole separate episode because that's a big ball right
Oh,
there.
my fault.
We're gonna
Okay.
talk about no, there's no problem. But we're gonna because I know there's a lot we can say about that
Yeah, that
with the
yeah,
redlining,
that
especially.
yeah, that tends to happen.
Yeah. But
I think all of us kind of go off track.
let me get into the last one, and that was number 10 was lack of neighborhood courtesy. And I think some of you touched on that here and there. But a neighborhood is more than just buildings and roads. Obviously, as we've all said, it's a network of relationships. Trust and respect can make even modest communities feel welcoming. So the question to you guys, are people less neighborly today than in previous generations?
Yeah,
And I
most
especially
definitely.
want to direct that to the Baltimoreans because you guys have been here for a long
Absolutely.
time. Okay. Why do you
You
think that
know,
is?
back in the day, your neighbor could discipline your kid. Nowadays, people don't want nobody telling their kids anything, even when they get in trouble.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but when they no longer exist, then they wish somebody had did something. Why didn't you do? They blame you for not doing anything.
What do you think happened to make it that way?
Society,
Society
society.
changing.
Yeah,
I truly believe it's when kids have kids. They don't necessarily pass down all the things that they should have learned to pass down to their kids. I think that's when it started going downhill.
And it
you,
says something
you
about a
think
third
you think
space.
you think it comes because we start accepting things. We
A- a-
accept it because
absolutely.
back in the day that was taboo. So, but I knew kids that 14, 13 years old who had kids when I was young, but it wasn't like it was glorified like it is now.
Right.
It's really glorified.
So
Is
Yeah, the
okay.
when
baby showers and all of that.
when stuff
Oh,
like that
baby,
happened before,
reveal parties. The
Reveal
reveal
parties,
parties.
yeah.
but
I think one of the biggest problems is that we lost the village mentality. But
absolutely.
I saw something I've seen it on social media, and one of the leaders in Baltimore was like, what if the village is retarded? Because if the
Yeah,
village is teaching you the wrong thing, how can a
yeah,
kid ever learn the right
Right.
thing?
you right.
Right.
That's 600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Going
Damn, wait a
south.
minute. Wait a minute, man. Leave that orange man alone right now.
Yeah, sorry, I can't. That motherfucker.
So
That,
um
that's
going
that's a whole nother story right there.
going back to what McFarland said, right?
Don't get my last name.
Hey, look, you didn't have to answer. You didn't have to answer up. All right. So when things like that, when young kids had kids, 12, 13, 14, whatever, and it happened. It wasn't common, but it happened. Where we lived, those kids got sent down south, right? And so
Oh yeah, back in the day,
yeah, they got sent from from
they got
Jersey.
somewhere with an aunt or something until
Absolutely.
they had the baby, and then the
Yep.
baby disappeared.
Yep.
It went to another family member or someone.
Yeah. But yeah, times have definitely changed. Now let me talk about neighbors and courtesy. How many, just by show of hands. Not no show of hands. Say yes or no. How many of you guys actually know your neighbors by name?
I
I do.
know I know a few of my neighbors by name, and I live in an apartment building.
Okay.
My neighborhood has changed. I've been here for like 25 years now.
Hmm.
When I first moved here, I had older neighbors, of course, because I'm like 20 something years old. I knew all of them. As they passed on and they moved out to like senior homes, I know two of my neighbors now. When at one time I did know the whole block, but now I don't. And I have like two Latinos that moved across the street from me. I told you about that.
Hmm.
I got a new neighbor now, and they won't even look at you so you can speak. You know what I mean? So you go outside, and they're not young, dude. They're not like 20. Like no, these dudes are like late 30s, 40s, and they won't even look at you. You come
Oh, that's
outside and you try to get your arm up or whatever, and they just jump in their car and haul at it.
Lack of
So
lack
to
of
answer your
trust.
question, yeah. So
and
to answer
also
your
I
question, I do know too.
Also, I think that comes from stability. People who are in the neighborhood for the long haul, whereas other people who are in the neighborhood for short term,
Ex-
short
Yeah,
time, don't have no investment in the neighborhood. Far as they might be renting a house.
And actually,
So
yeah, that's
that's
true.
what
That's
sank
true.
a lot of the apartment complexes. For example, when I grew up, I lived in this project called Stanley Homes, and the difference between now and back then, we lived there. It was you knew the people from when you were little to your teenage years. It
yeah,
was the same families, and they again, like I think the lady said here, you could discipline the kids in the neighborhood.
yeah,
You can't do that now. But when you have a transient community, there's no buy-in, there's no
yeah.
trust. There's sometimes a lack of respect because you don't know that person. But can a neighborhood actually thrive if residents don't trust one another? And think
No,
about where you lived and where even the areas that you served for those who are public servants. Do you think they could
If it's,
actually
if
thrive?
they if they don't have investment in the neighborhood or investment in the area, no, because a lot of times, no, I don't think
You don't
so.
think so?
No,
I don't think so either because you when you don't trust one another, you don't have that village mentality. You don't have those extra eyes, where like you see a kid or anybody acting, out of pocket, you could just call back to the parent or the wife or the husband or whatever and let them know ahead of time. You don't have that now. Everybody's mind my business because I don't want to cause any problems because I'm trying to help somebody else. So I think that's what we have today. But due to time, I'm gonna ask some quick questions. These are hot seat questions, so there's no academic response to whatever. But when I ask, I'm gonna pick you guys. So I'm putting you in a hot seat. Which of these issues destroys neighborhoods faster than any? Now I'm a send that to Paul. Paul, you still on here?
I'm here.
Okay, I'm gonna give that to you because you was here for all three spots. Which one of these issues that we talked about destroys neighborhoods faster than any? We're talking about lack of courtesy, littering, neglecting property, vandalism, graffiti, excessive noise, allowing crime to flourish, failure to respect shared spaces, and not participating in community efforts. With some other poor pet ownership and disrespectful parking and traffic behavior. Which one of those you would say is destroys the neighborhood faster?
Uh, I would say destroying the neighborhood faster would be um, allowing crime to
To flourish.
no, lack of respect.
Lack of respect.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, lack of respect. Yeah, because out of respect, there are other things that's what happens when you don't have the respect.
Okay. Anybody say anything different? Okay.
I think it's a combination of all the things.
Combination. All. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, crime is definitely one on the top of the list, but I
Right.
think it's a combination of all.
All right.
I think it's the property. When you neglect the property, you are inclined to bring other things within that neighborhood. When
Okay.
you go into the more affluential neighborhoods, you do not see properties that are dilapidated. And I understand the money is different, but if you have this dilapidated building in your particular neighborhood, you invite trouble there.
Broken windows.
Okay. So
Yep.
nobody, is there anybody here live in a HOA? Anybody?
Yeah, I live in the HOA, kind of, sort of.
Okay. So my question to you is, should HOAs have more authority or less?
Well, in most neighborhoods, they have a lot of authority. Um, in my HOA, because it's fairly new, they don't have much authority. And I think now, to answer your question, I'm kind of on the hinge with that, with the amount of authority you give anyone. I don't think anyone should have too much authority, in any aspect, because they take it and they run with it. So I do think that there should be certain amount of authority that they should have. I do agree with the level of your grass. Your grass shouldn't go over a certain height. You know what I mean? So that stuff like that, I don't think that they should have the authority to tell you what type of fence you could put up and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like building things. No, I
Okay.
don't think they should have that kind of authority. But as far as littering
So,
and
so
taking care of your property, I think they should be able to. I
fine.
don't. I don't like the finding thing from HOA. I think that they should be able to have some sort of relationship with the city where they can report you and so forth, and just let the city do that. Because when you start doing, I think that kind of, when you start letting HOA fine the people in the community, I think it kind of goes to, oh, that bitch is petty and blah blah blah. If they're doing it personally, they might take it personal. I think that they should have the authority to like contact the city and say, hey, this is what's going on over here, and let the city do it, opposed to that, because you still have to have some sort of cordiality, amongst your neighbors.
So that sounds like less.
Yeah, I don't like people having way too much power, man. Because people abuse power
Okay.
when they have too much of it. Look at 600. Look at 600. You know what I
Oh
mean?
God, please don't start that
Pennsylvania
way.
Avenue.
Please don't start
600
that way.
Pennsylvania Avenue. That mother effer don't have no limit to his power.
Yeah.
He's supposed to, but
So
anyway, you know what I mean. I just don't. I don't like too much power.
this question right here is for Disco Afro. And I'm specifically asking this one because we had a conversation a few days ago and something regarding to this. At what point should neighbors intervene when someone's behavior affects the community?
Mm.
Say that one more time.
At what point should neighbors intervene when someone's behavior affects the community? And I'm asking that based on that conversation we had about the neighbors down the street, the girls and the trash and stuff like that in the street.
Oh, I intervene as soon as I see something's being done, because I gotta live here. When I feel that it's gonna inhibit my well being and everything, I'm gonna say something. I can't just sit still. So I'm gonna jump on it right away. I'm not gonna wait until it manifests and get worse.
Right.
You know? And
Anybody who thinks otherwise? Okay. All right. I agree fully. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't do that, and they see the results of that. Okay. So this
can I
goes
ask you one question though?
absolutely.
What happens when you're the only person that does it and nobody else does it in your neighborhood, says anything, but they reap the benefits, and they always call you all the time.
Well,
Yeah.
we've seen what happens because
Yeah, we
eventually,
talked about that yesterday, Glad.
yeah, we did.
Yeah, and they
Eventually,
always call.
you're going to be looked at from some people as the troublemaker or the snitch or the one who complains all the time, and sometimes those complaints get thrown by the wayside. I guess it depends on who you are. So that's the double-edged sword on that. But yeah, but my recommendation, everybody, as soon as you see that, jump on there and set the tone early. All right, my now this one's for Kenneth. Did I say your name correctly?
Yes.
Yep, you
Okay.
said it right.
The question for you: what separates a good neighborhood from a great one?
Mm, that's a very good question. I think the community influences and, everyone coming together as a whole. When you have community and when all the neighbors can get together and we all have one particular goal in mind, that makes a great community
Okay.
because we all want to be successful.
So basically, bringing in the community as and acting as one to reach common
Yes.
goals. Okay. Anybody want to add to that? I know somebody's going to add to that. Nobody? Okay. All right. My last question is, and this is for everybody, and this make it under 30 seconds. What's the worst thing you've ever seen someone do in a neighborhood? And we're gonna start with Dimitri. I mean, well, Dimitri, not Pastor
Well,
Dirty.
oh, okay, got you.
So what is someone doing in the
Yeah. What's the
you
worst
see
thing you ever
somebody
seen
do?
somebody do in a neighborhood?
Rob somebody.
Okay. So
I've seen
you've
seen
seen a
some.
robbery.
I've seen a bunch of guys rob someone.
Okay. Shaft.
Well, I've seen two homicides committed.
Okay. That's
One
probably
actually like 2 weeks after I retired.
yeah. I think that's probably the worst you can get. So
Yeah, right around my way. Both of them were around, but not around my way. It was over by Liberty and Gwinnett.
okay. Yeah, I'm not surprised there
Yep.
either. Um,
Yeah.
Disco.
I think I'm becoming desensitized from a lot of things, but I think the worst thing I've seen is when people ignore the problems,
Okay.
ignore a situation.
Yeah. That's a big one because obviously that determines the trajectory of your community. Who else is here? Paul. I got one for you. Is person?
Um,
No, you getting a different question.
okay,
Is personal freedom being used as an excuse for bad behavior?
man. Yeah, some cases. Yeah,
Okay,
I believe that.
I-
Um,
I'm going to agree with
man,
that.
that's
And the young
yeah.
lady mentioned something earlier about Afram, right? I think that's one of the biggest things that hinder progress is when people feel helpless or they feel that they don't have a voice or they feel that there's no consequences or accountability for certain actions in the name of personal freedom. I can make all this noise. I can do all these different things because I have freedom to do whatever. So who did I miss anybody? Let's see. KY, you want to jump on that on a question before we go out?
Yeah, I was just going to say you mentioned you didn't bring in KY. He's a community guy anyway.
Exactly. I see him on it, but he might just want to be an observer. So, all right.
Yeah, I'm just observer. I didn't agree about Dimitri with him stating that the HOAs have all the power. I don't think their power is really valid.
Oh, okay. So you
But
think
with the worst thing I would say that is someone getting shot. Probably the worst thing that I've seen witnessed in the community.
okay? Yeah, I'm going to say the same. Well, the worst I've ever witnessed in the area that I lived in, I think, was somebody being stabbed, not really shot, but stabbed, and it was all amongst friends. So that was crazy.
Yeah, that's
So
wild.
yeah, that's that. I think that made it worse out of anything. So
But I do know my neighbors as well. All my
you
neighbors.
know all your neighbors.
I
Okay,
make it I make it a point to introduce myself and all that stuff, even if they are distant. So I guess it all depends on your community.
how long have you lived there in your community?
This community about 10 years,
Oh, okay. That's good. That's a good buy-in.
and we've had some. We've had some several families move out, which long residence, 40, 50 years, but now it's starting to change. But I'm pretty familiar with everyone.
Okay. So I need a word of the day, and since you're here, don't go nowhere yet. I need a word of the day, and for those listeners, subscribers, if you get the word of the day for each episode during the month, you have the opportunity to win a prize, and you just email those words of the day to unfiltered.psycho4081@gmail.com. And first come, first serve. It might be comedy show tickets, or it might be, something else. So give me first person to throw out a word. That's what we're going to use for the word of the day.
Invested.
Invested. Okay. So the word of the day for this part 3 of this episode is invested. So I want to thank you guys for coming. And my closing question for those listeners out there is, if everyone or every resident behaved exactly like you do, would your neighborhood improve, stay the same, or get worse? So that is your thought of the day.
Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Unfiltered with Psycho 4081. Big respect to our guests for keeping it real, and love to every listener rocking with us week after week. This conversation ain't over yet. Stay locked in for the next episode coming soon. Until next time, keep it unfiltered with Psycho 4081.